Welcome to Jay's Cooking Club. May is excited about the cooking club. She's over there. She might bark a little bit. Come here. You want to say hi?
No.
No? Not ready? Okay. You're going to need a whisk. You're going to need a spatula. You're going to need the recipe. The important thing whenever you are doing a baked good, you want to be separating your wet from your dry ingredients. So right now our wet ingredients are milk and butter, and we will be using an egg as well. So I'm going to need a separate bowl to lightly beat an egg. So just give me 1 sec. Follow me around. Of course, we have all of our stuff in the right spots just to make sure that it's accessible for the cooking club, because we always plan ahead at our house. So make sure that we find a container that works. This little guy will be fine. And follow me. So inside this container right here, this bowl, this metal bowl, we are going to have a 1.5 cups of flour, which I measured out already. We're going to mix in our 3.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Baking powder is going to make your pancakes real nice and fluffy and big. Okay, so we're going to pop that right in there. I also have my 1 tablespoon of sugar right here. That's going to make them nice and sweet. And I also have a little bit of salt, because if you're ever baking anything, you got to make sure that there's a little bit of salt in there too. So when our dry ingredients are all together, we're going to take the whisk. You can use a sift as well, which just basically makes them nice and combined. So just give them one of these guys like this. Nice and sifted. Now what you're going to do is you're going to make a little well right in the middle, just like this. I don't know if you got that, Elena, like a little well like that. And that's where we're going to combine all of our wet ingredients. So cracking an egg, you're going to crack on a nice hard surface. You never crack on the edge of something. If you crack on the edge of something, that's how shells are going to get in. You don't want shells in there. Shelly pancakes are gross. So crack right into our little vessel here. Throw in some garbage. Oh, I got another fork over there. Just lightly beat it. Now the egg's going to work to help hydrate the dough, which makes it a little bit easier to work with. So I'll put that right into the well, just like that. I'll take our 3 tablespoons of melted butter. I'm going to pop it in there too. And then I'm also going to add our 1.25 cups of milk right here. It's going to go right in, just like that. Wow, you're really directing this. And then you're going to mix this until it's nice and incorporated. All right. Now, this is the fun part. Getting it all mixed together properly and making sure that you have the right utensils to do it. Now, you might look at this batter and say, Jay, this doesn't look like a lot. But I promise you it's enough. We made this recipe when? Like last weekend?
We did.
And it was more than enough for 2 people. But again, talk to your parents. Talk about doubling. Talk about making the recipe bigger if you feel like you need to make it bigger. But we're going to be using a lot of this strength to make sure that this batter comes together quite nicely. We don't want it to be too shaggy. Okay, it'll come together. You ask mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever, it should come together and look like a cake batter. Why? Because it is a pancake. So we'll bring this whole thing together. Now, it depends on the size of the pancake that you want to do, but I typically like to use a 1/4 cup. That's a good unit of measurement. But if you look at the dough, well, the batter, I guess is what it is. It's looking a little bit like this. It's pretty hydrated. You can tell all those air bubbles that are already in there because we're mixing all that air in to make it nice and fluffy. What we're going to do next is take it to the pan. So over here, we also have a chicken stock going, which Elena put together, which is nice. We're going to have that for dinner. But we have a pan that's preheated right here. I sprayed some Pam, which is just non-stick spray that's going to go right on there. Now we're going to mix in a little bit of pancake batter. Now don't worry if it isn't exactly the right, it'll find its shape. We're gonna let this get a little bit more browned. Now, this is the time when you can get a little bit creative with it. So right now I have some chocolate chips. Do we have chocolate chips? Or do we use them?
No, we have some.
So if I wanted to take these mini chips just like this, I can open it up. And I could dot a few of them just right in the pancake batter, just like this. Okay? Don't lick it, there's rye in it. Wait till it's cooked. Now, once this is frying in the pan, you can start having a conversation with your families about what maybe you want to put in your pancakes next time. Or if you want, you could start sending me messages about what other things that you would like to see for Cooking Club. But this is a pretty easy recipe to remember. And it's so much better than buying the pre-packaged pancake stuff. I gotta tell you, that stuff's gross and way overpriced. It doesn't cost much for flour or baking powder or salt or sugar, and you can do all this at home. You just need an egg. The only thing that it isn't is vegan. So it's not vegan because we use the egg and we use the butter and we use the milk. I might look up a vegan pancake recipe only because I know that there are certain people in the classroom that have family members that are vegan. So if you're looking really closely like this, you'll notice that some of the air bubbles are coming open and you can hear it frying a bit. Maybe. You can't? No. Sizzling? You gotta listen closely when you're doing it. My spatula here. Oh, my flipper. It's not quite ready yet, so we gotta take a minute. Maybe I'll have some of my smoothie while I'm waiting. What are you taking a look at around the house? Hi, May. That's May, that's George. Hey, Giorgio. Now, we can take a peek and see how it's doing under there. It's nice and golden brown. You can flip it, just like that. Press it out a bit. It almost looks like a little heart. Almost. I don't know, maybe not. So, once this is done cooking, we can enjoy it with a little bit of maple syrup, but you get the idea. We're gonna save this batter for tomorrow and we're gonna have pancakes for breakfast, but I think Elena and I are gonna snack on this one pancake for like a late lunch right now. But that was Jay's Cooking Club. The important thing to remember when you're finished with all of these dishes, that you need to make sure that you're doing them on the fly. They can't just live on the counter. So you'd be really helping out grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, whoever, if you do them while things are cooking. It's called multitasking, it's really helpful. But please stay tuned for next week. I'm gonna do another Cooking Club. And we're also gonna do our first class Zoom conference, which is gonna be next week. So stay tuned for details on that. And I hope you liked it so far. So thanks, I'll see you guys next week.